Hello, my freedom-loving friend. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel. Here's something I want to cover today. Alex Jones is now being sued for $2.75 trillion. Whoa. When I first saw this, I honestly thought it was a joke, like Babylon Bee, he was just sued for a lot of money, now a new lawsuit. And it's just such a huge amount. I thought it was just a tremendous exaggeration, but nope, it's a real lawsuit. Now, the important question I have is, what does this mean for you and I and free speech? Does it mean anything beyond the lawsuit? I'll share what I think it means in a second, but first, let's go through a little backstory here at the wake of this $2.75 trillion lawsuit. Now, this is on top of a few lawsuits that have already come against Alex Jones where he's been ruled to pay large sums of money. The first one, let's check it out. A Texas court ordered Alex Jones to pay $49.3 million in damages. And here you can check it out. Let's see how this breaks down. A Texas jury on Friday, and this is from August 2022, a Texas jury on Friday ordered Alex Jones to pay $45.2 million in punitive damages to the parents of Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting victims, a day after deciding the InfoWars host must pay them $4.1 million in compensatory damages for the suffering caused by his lies about the 2012 massacre. So that adds up to $49.3 million. I'm not a mathematician, and math is racist, and I'm also not a biologist, but I think that's what that adds up to. And then a week ago, it came out, another court has ordered Alex Jones to pay $965 million in damages to the families of Sandy Hook victims. So just shy of $1 billion. $965 million on top of the previous $49 million. Let's see how this breaks down. So this is meant to compensate victims' families for the suffering that Alex Jones has allegedly caused them. It says here, Jones faced liability for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and violations of the State Unfair Trade Practices Act for creating a fake narrative that the mass shooting was a hoax. The families claim Jones profited off the lies while they were harassed and abused by those who believed him. Though a little bit of extra backstory, how he profited from the lies, allegedly, is during his shows back about 10 years ago when this tragedy happened, he'd be reporting his thoughts about this is not really what's going on, guys. And then during his shows, he advertises products and makes sales from those products. So that's how they're alleging he profited off them. And that brings us up to today's $2.75 trillion lawsuit against him. Seems like a lot. Some would say that even seems like an unrealistic amount, just like a made-up number, a frivolous number. But here's how it breaks down. Here's how they arrived at, now we're going to sue him for $2.75 trillion, which, by the way, as I'm also not a lawyer or a woman and probably not even a man, I don't know, is there any end to lawsuits? Can they just keep suing the crap out of them forever for more and more amounts? I don't know that. Here's how they arrived at this number of $2.75 trillion. They reached this sum by multiplying the state's laws up to $5,000 per violation fine by the 555 million social media exposures the Jones audience received on his Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter accounts prior to them completely deplatforming him. In the 3 years following a school shooting that claimed the lives of 21st graders and 6 educators in 2012. So his 550 million views he got on a show during that time, they're saying, okay, we can sue for up to $5,000 per violation. Now, he got 550 million views during that time where he was talking about Sandy Hook. During that time, he was having commercials for products he sells during his show that he was allegedly spreading lies in. So 550 million views, that multiply by $5,000 per violation. Apparently that equals $2.75 trillion. That's how they arrived there. Now, I think a lot of questions arise. One question for my not lawyer mind. You know what? Enough of that. I identify as an attorney right now. So based on my vast background of living my truth as a lawyer. A question that I have, like if this goes to court, and it sounds like it will, here would be a big question I have, just taking this at face value for a second. If he got 550 million views during that time, that doesn't mean 550 million people were watching his show from beginning to end. And I think his show tends to run long. His episodes are multiple hours long. And if anybody's ever posted a video on social media, you go into the analytics, you watch your watch time. A lot of times it's a very small percentage of the video. So my truth as a lawyer, I would expect, okay, now the other side has to prove that how many of those 550 million people saw both the alleged lies and then the advertising for the product that he was selling, and therefore selling based off of lies. My truth as an attorney is that would need to be proven in court. And one thing I can guarantee, because now I identify as a psychic, so what I can tell you for sure is all 550 million of those viewers during that 3-year period were not watching the entire show. Many of them weren't even seeing any of the advertisements. They might have watched 3 minutes of his show. They might have watched 10. They might have watched 40. But probably a very small percentage of those 550 million viewers actually watched both the alleged lies and the advertisements. So, will Alex Jones be ordered to pay $2.75 trillion? It remains to be seen. That's the lawsuit. It's yet to go to court. He's already been ordered to pay $965 billion, already been ordered to pay an additional $49.3 million. And obviously with these numbers, he can't pay it. He can't pay anything close to it. But what it can do is ruin him, at least financially. I would guess it will motivate him from the place of his inspiration to bring his message to the world. I would guess it's very motivating to him. In fact, I saw a recent interview after the $965 million lawsuit was awarded to the victims, and he said just that. I mean, paraphrasing, but now he's more motivated than ever. But there's no question that there would be a level of financial ruin where his pay will be docked for the rest of his life, all of his assets. Will they be liquidated? I mean, so it would be a certain level of punch in the gut against Alex Jones financially, for sure. No question about that. But here's the question of the day. What do these ever-growing lawsuits against Alex Jones mean for you and I? Does it have implications? What do they mean for free speech? Now, we can only speculate, but I identify as a professional speculator, so that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. One thing I think of in my speculation is Alex Jones has been, without a doubt, enemy number one for a long time of the mainstream media. Now, I can't verify what percentage of what Alex Jones says is true, but what I can say is a certain percentage of what he says ends up being true. He was talking about Epstein years before anybody else. So there's a reason why he's been enemy number one. There's a reason why he was the first really well-known person to be banned all across social media. There's a reason why mainstream media puts energy into continually smearing him. I don't think it's to protect people, though that's the great narrative that they always have. I believe it's because they want to take him out. And if they want to take him out, that would imply what he has to say, probably about a lot of things, threatens their narrative, threatens their propaganda, threatens their ability to control people's minds with their narrative. So I look at that and say, like, all right, they've already proven that Alex Jones is a threat to them. So then the next question that raises in my mind is, are these enormous lawsuits part of the same structure of takedown plan against Alex Jones? Now, there's no question that Sandy Hook families, let's just say, the media narrative about what happened at Sandy Hook is true. I honestly have no reason to believe otherwise. I think it's Interesting that they're taking Alex Jones down for exercising free speech. And even if it happened the way the media says, it would be heinous free speech. It would be horrible. If I had a child lost in a horrible tragedy, I would be absolutely pissed. If the narrative about what happened is true, there's no question that the Sandy Hook families would have immense pain and suffering hearing someone deny the reality of their loss of a child. That's something I couldn't imagine, losing a child, let alone having someone deny the reality of that. So based on that potential reality, of course those families would want to seek compensation for their emotional damage. I don't know where the law, free speech is a thing, but then pain and suffering is a thing within the confines of the law. So I don't exactly know how that mixes out. But what we can say is these are enormous sums of money. 49.3 million, 965 million, and now 2.75 trillion. Is the enormous amounts of those monies part of a plan to take down Alex Jones even more? Because they took him off social media. He kept going. He's still going. Seems like they want him to stop. Are these enormous lawsuits part of the plan to try to stop him? And if they are, I would hypothesize they serve as a warning shot for all other people that have a voice that runs counter to the mainstream narrative. I don't know that that's true, but I think I would be crazy not to consider that it could be intended to be a warning shot that basically says, hey, you free thinker, you better fall in line. And if you don't, look what can happen. We've set the precedent. Complete deplatformization and now financial ruin beyond belief for the rest of your life. I don't know. Could be part of the plan. Looks like it. Doesn't mean it is. But it looks like a possibility, at least to me. In conclusion, for what these enormous lawsuits, now $2.75 trillion against Alex Jones, what does this mean? For me, it means free speech is certainly under attack. It has been, and it seems like the attack is mounting even more. So what do we do? Here's my opinion. I will not comply. I will continue speaking my truth. Now, I have different truths than Alex Jones, certainly about a lot of things. I certainly wouldn't want to harm anybody with my words. Yet, I will not comply with this coercive censorship under the threats of, here's our warning shots, you could be deplatformed, you can have enormous lawsuits. We know it's better to die on your feet than to live on your knees. So I think when free speech is under attack, here's the paradox. It can seem dangerous to keep speaking your mind. It can seem safer to kind of bow down and all right, I'm a little intimidated. I don't want to, I better censor myself. Toe the line a little bit. Be silent with my real thoughts. Seems safer. But here's the reality about that. I think right now when free speech is under attack, doing the safe thing is the most dangerous thing we can possibly do. Because if we do what feels safe in the moment, all right, I'll shut up so, I don't get made an example of like someone else. We just have to know what happens in history when we consent to free speech and we allow it through our compliance. What happens in history is complete tyranny and authoritarianism and communism. That, my friends, is a exponentially more dangerous reality than the momentary feeling of danger of I'm speaking my mind under the protection of the First Amendment of the Constitution, and tyrants who have some level of control, they could take things away from me. Yep, they could. Seems like a momentary danger. But continuing to be a free, sovereign, free-speaking individual is actually safer. Even though it feels more dangerous in the moment, it's safer because the reality that we consent to is a reality born out of our God-given right of freedom and our constitutional rights of freedom. And not to mention, the free speech, it's not just an American thing. After Nazi Germany, they formed what's called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights because they looked at the atrocities that Germany created at the time, inflicted on people. Horrible. And they said, how do we make sure this never happens again? So they formed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I believe it was Article 19 in that declaration says, free speech is a basic human right. For all humans, not just Americans, for all humans. So by doing what might feel dangerous in the moment, free speech, that truly is the safer thing for us to do, because that's the reality we consent to. Therefore, that's the reality that we are creating. It's a reality based on freedom where us, our children, and our grandchildren get to swim in their birthright of freedom and have free expression through what's called free speech. So that to me is the take-home message of this. I don't know the actual realities with the Alex Jones situation, but I do know the implications of what we can imagine are possibilities. And I do know the take-home implication for me is now more than ever, it's so important to claim our birthright of freedom and not surrender it to anything. Before you go though, I want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's video, Sheath Underwear. Oh, hey there. I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Sheath Underwear, the best underwear on the planet. I know this is true because Earth is the best planet in the solar system, and Sheath is the best underwear on planet Earth. So, men, I want to talk to you for a second. Sheath makes it so you no longer have to wear ugly, uncomfortable underwear that degenerates your manhood. Instead, Sheath says you deserve the most stylish designs and colors on the planet, made from the softest materials on the planet. And aside from that, based on what I'm seeing right now, Sheath also offers a dual pouch system to support your junk, like no other underwear on the planet. These are my newest pair, Blue Iceberg, and these are Orange Hexagon, and these are the Purple Geometric. My grandfather always said, son, life is too short to wear degenerated socialistic underwear that make you look ugly. You deserve to wear the best underwear on the planet, like a real American. And if you want to tap into the American underwear dream like I do, just go to sheathunderwear.com/awaken. And while you're there, use the discount code AWAKEN for 20% off. Enjoy.